Hello, hello, beautiful women of the world.
Mm.
Welcome. Welcome to my show, Your Radiant Life After 55. 55 is just the beginning of an amazing life that is waiting for you. And on my show, you learn so many things in way of how to stay healthy, how to stay engaged in life, how to about relationships, which always starts with the relationship you have with yourself. And I also bring amazing guests, amazing women to my show. And today we have a very special guest.
Mhm.
I'm so proud and so happy that she's here to share her brilliance with you. I'll tell you a little bit about her just in a moment. Um, I just wanted to let you know, share this with your friends and somebody who you believe could get a little bit encouragement and a little bit lift under her wings, because this show is really dedicated to women 55 and over who are not done living with, who are absolutely looking for to authentically and abundantly live the second part of their lives. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce you to my guest today. A very short bio. Her name is Andrea Sadler, and she's known as the Dragonfly. She
Mhm.
is a transformational coach, a past life regressionist, a somatic breathwork facilitator, meditation teacher, tarot reading teacher, actress, filmmaker. I mean, you name it. She is multi-talented and has um, had so many businesses that she shared with the world in the most successful way. So she is the founder of Dragonfly Coaching, Circles and Retreats. And she integrates ancient wisdom with creative modalities, energy work, movement, guided journeys, and therapeutic methods to help clients align with their soul purpose. And this is the strongest we all can give, really, and discover. And she helps women discover that. So, based in the Hudson Valley, Andrea offers private session programs, retreats, masterclasses, and what she calls joy shops. I love that. No workshops, but joy shops. I love it. So you will probably tell us a little bit more about this. And Andrea believes that when we heal and live centered in our hearts, we will collectively transform the world for the good of all. An amazing short. Your bio is so much bigger and so much longer, but I think that's the gist of it. And we have this conversation now. So welcome to my show, Andrea. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Angelika. I'm so honored to be here and so honored to get to know you better too. It's great.
Yes, that's a beautiful opportunity. The first touch, even though we had one touch before, but
Yes.
it will just allow us to find out a little bit more about it while we share your brilliance with the world. And then afterwards, we can get a little bit closer and find out how we can collaborate and support each other to bring love and light and this change that we need in the world. So,
Absolutely.
you have done so much, but what I'm so we cannot focus on everything. But
Hmm.
let us just focus on when did you awaken spiritually? Did you do?
Yeah, so that's always an interesting question because everybody awakens spiritually at their own rate and it can happen at any time in your life. And for me, I would say I was always awake in terms of connecting to spirit since I was a child, and I was just very aware of energy. I could see spirits. I could, my when my grandmother died, I could still see her. I knew she was still with me, so I always had spiritual connection. from my childhood. But the thing that happened in my childhood is I was extremely shy. Like I could not get a thought from my head out my mouth without crying or feeling embarrassed or just not being able to speak. I was so shy as a child. And when I did share with other children about spirits or anything that I experienced, they made fun of me. So I went, not going to talk about this anymore.
Mm.
And then for many years, I always continued on my own inquiry, studying ancient wisdom, ancient texts, studying Joseph Campbell and poetry like Rumi and philosophers, Henry David Thoreau, and just all these inspiring people, Donald Neely Walsh, or just being inspired. And what was my quest, my query was, why am I here? What is the meaning of being here? And how can we live in balance on the planet? And
Mm.
that question really impacted me around, let's say, the age of 21 is when I would say, it was like another level of awakening as a more mature adult. And that experience, I was 21 living in Montreal. I had just gotten kicked out of my father's house by my stepmother after 3 days of being there. I was devastated, but I ended up, because of that, it wasn't good at the time, but because of that, I ended up moving with some friends in Montreal. And when I got to Montreal, I had this feeling of this energy of creativity and acceptance. It in Toronto, Ontario, where I was from, they always seemed to judge you if you didn't do something that was cool. Whereas in Montreal was just like you be you and everybody loves you just being you. And I love that
Way,
energy.
right? It's more the French way, like
Yes, more the
let us
European
faire,
way.
yes.
Exactly. And when I was there, I was feeling quite alienated because I didn't know anybody in Montreal. I had just been kicked out of my father's house. I was young, and I went to this this punk rock club because, I was 21. Punk was in style in my
Yes,
20s.
absolutely.
And so I went to this club and I went by myself and I started feeling really alienated. And I have kind of a movie brain as a filmmaker. I always see things like close up, cut, wide shot, close up, like zoom in. Like my brain works, my vision works like a camera. So
Mm.
in my mind's eye, I was seeing all these things like a mohawk and dirty fingernails and fire lighting a cigarette. And I felt like everybody was so alienated. And when I
Mm.
walked home that night, everybody looked like rats scuttling in the rain. And I just felt so small. And I felt really, really in despair about what we were doing to the planet and what we were doing to each other. And I just thought there has to be a different way, a better way to live sustainably on the planet. And I want to know how. And so I literally stood outside my apartment where I live with these new roommates, but I didn't know them that well, right? And I stood outside in the rain and I was trying to figure out how do we live in balance on Earth. And a cat, the cat came to the door and meowed. And it was just like a knowing. It just flooded me like, oh, of course. It's unconditional love through nature because human beings are not perfect because we're human and we're divine. But we often mess up because of, things that happen to us and beliefs we have. So for me, the answer was connecting with nature. And that began a whole quest for me, not only connecting with indigenous wisdom, but also I started connecting with Buddhism and I started meditating because I learned that we were going to be astrologically, we were going to be entering a time right now, the time we're living right now, when there's going to be this great awakening and this great shift, shifting from the Kali Yuga into the next in the Vedic cycle of the ages, we're shifting towards the silver age and the golden age again.
Yeah.
But right now we're in the Kali Yuga, and what the teachings that I was learning about were all saying it's very important to develop your intuition so you know how to navigate and how to survive these tumultuous times. And so I started meditating, and I started like wondering, how do we become enlightened? How does one do that? And I went to, after I finished film school, I went to India on a spiritual journey when I was 28 years old, and my first Saturn return, right? And I went there with the quest of how do we become enlightened? And so I did a 10-day Vipassana retreat, but I had already been practicing my intuition and I had already started meditating since I was 21. But when I did the 10-day Vipassana retreat, I had a transformational experience that concretized, solidified the practice of meditation. And I experienced samadhi, which is kind of mind blowing when I think about it, because I was meditating for 10 days, silent Vipassana meditation. And in the meditation time, I was like, oh my God, this is so hard. My brain won't shut up. I just want to kiss everyone. I want to ring that bell. I want to run around. I want to dance. I don't want to sit here and just breathe. It's so boring, right? That's what I was thinking. But then I said to my teacher, I'm not getting any epiphanies. It's boring. And he said to me, well, Andrea, if I stuck your head in a bucket of water, you wouldn't think breathing is boring, would you?
Very drastic visual.
I got the message very clearly.
Yeah.
And then after he told me that, and he said it with a straight face, then after that, like maybe a day or two later, I had this experience where I started feeling like I was spinning. And I actually started feeling nauseous because I was spinning. It felt like I was physically spinning. And I started shaking my leg because it just felt so strange to me. I didn't know what was happening. But I now know it was my Kundalini energy rising up. And then what happened is this bubble popped up all around me, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. It just went poof, and it was like this it was like a whirring sound, and I was like, oh, what's happening? And I could feel my body was beyond my body, and I was like, my body is bigger than my body. What's going on? And I felt ecstatic bliss. And I was like saying to myself, whoa, this is what they're talking about. This is the samadhi moment, right? Now, of course, that was a moment that I got to taste samadhi, and I became I'm gonna say addicted, but that it can be negative, but I became very committed to the practice of meditation, and I would meditate twice a day, 2 hours a day after the 10-day retreat, because it changed my life completely. And now this is what the work I do as a transformational coach is, besides being a meditation teacher, is I help people connect to their soul and clear the energy blockages for each chakra so that the energy can flow and the person can begin to experience themselves on a more the more you do it, the more it's just your everyday reality. Every moment, every day, it just becomes your reality of living in the 5D.
Yeah.
Where and
5D, for anybody who doesn't understand that, is, I mean, the 3D, the three-dimensional world that we are born into and usually most live in, is where all of where anger and duality and all of these fights and the striving and all of this, and the higher you go is the four. It's kind of in between. The 5D is really where unconditional love
Yeah,
reigns. So we
exactly.
have community, we have collaboration, we actually have heaven on earth the way it can be.
Yes, yes, that's it. And
It's,
and once you know it, once you've tasted it, once you've experienced it, it it takes time before it's locked into like really knowing. But
yeah,
now at this place in my life, I'm 62 years old. I'll be 63 on February 7th.
like 30, amazing, really. Uh,
And and this was now I'm in a place where I'm feeling uh I must help other people. It's
yeah,
not just a matter of, oh, maybe that would be nice. It's like, no, my soul is saying, Andrea, you've been on this spiritual creative journey your whole life. Now you know, now you have to help others. So
yeah.
it's like the hero's journey where I went through every phase of the hero's journey and where I went into the darkness and thought I was going to kill myself, and then I found my light and then I came out. And now I have the elixir to share with others. And
That's why you came at this lifetime, right? And at this time of this tremendous shift and change. And you're just so it's just such a gift that you were able to discover this already at an early age, even though it probably was something that you didn't appreciate very much, because it kind of separated you from others, because now you are the teacher, and with the global awakening,
yeah.
we are not woo woo anymore. We are not strange. We are actually the almost the doulas, of the
Yes.
new mankind, of the new awakening, men, women, children. I mean, children, I think, already come with that, I
Oh,
believe.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's amazing how different my my youngest daughters or my grandchildren's childhood is compared to mine, how rigid mine was compared to how much more we know and about love and how important it is, and
Mm.
community and all of this. But amazing when I recall how your journey went. I mean, triggered by a cat, right?
Well, triggered by getting kicked out of my father's
Yes,
place. And
I mean
then,
there are so many, but
but
kind
then
of there
there,
was some kind of awakening with the arrival of a cat, right?
yes, the cat, and that's connected to your intuition, the feminine energy as well.
Yeah.
And then it also, I mean, even as a child, my mother had like a book about Yogananda, and she
Mm.
had National Geographic magazines, and I always was fascinated, even as a child, like under 7 years old, looking at these yoga pictures and
Mm.
looking at these indigenous people. And
Yeah.
so when I finished my film production, I studied theater and film production, and I became an actress and a filmmaker. But when I left film production, graduated, I really went on my spiritual journey. And then I wanted to make films wherever I went. And
Mm.
I wanted to make films about transformation of consciousness. And I wanted to make films all over the world to show what humanity is and the amazing things that are happening everywhere. But then I went to Japan, and I was looking for an idea to make a documentary film. And then I heard about this run, the sacred run, that would be running across Japan. And it was organized by First Nation people. Dennis Banks is an American Indian leader who led the run. And it was an annual run to raise consciousness and to carry the message that all
Yes,
life is
I would
sacred.
have participated in that too.
Yeah, yes. And so when I read about it in the paper, I just knew intuitively that that was the film I was going to make. But what I didn't know was that that making of that film would lead me on my deconstruction, reconstruction journey. Because after I shot the film, like, well, first of all, it was, I just barely had a shoestring budget to film. I had like 10 minutes of film to shoot a day because I was shooting on 16 millimeter film. But I wanted to make a lyrical film. So I don't know, I just thought I'd figure it out. But it took me 7 years to complete the film because I had to go back to Canada. And when I went back to Canada, I had been whittled away. My confidence had been whittled away by actually, I hate to say this, but 5 women on the Sacred Run were
Mm.
stabbing me in the back over and over and over and over. And I thought, I'm an Aquarius. I'm a six planet Aquarius. So for me, the whole world is my family. Every single human, every single tree is my family. So
Beautiful.
to have women stab me in the back was really a betrayal that caused me to get smaller and smaller and smaller because I was afraid. I was afraid of being attacked. And I found that I was getting attacked. And even
Mm.
when I came back to Canada to do the post-production work, um, I couldn't get the funding. It took, well, I did, but it took me 7 years to get the funding. And people would say, the National Film Board of Canada would say, oh, Mother Earth subjects and Native subjects are passe. And I'm like, what? Like, no, we need it more than ever, the wisdom of Indigenous people.
Yes.
And then, fortunately, I began my healing journey.
Mm.
I discovered I was sexually abused as a child by my father, and I mean, I sort of had an inkling about that, and I actually started doing healing work, but in the pre-production, post-production, the editing during that time, I was starting to go through some strange experiences with men that I was like, something's not right here. I need to do healing. And I ended up doing the healing work.
Mm.
And then I studied with I had to go within. I had to go into the deep dark night of the soul to find
Mhm.
my light. And a thought that really helped me, and I'm saying this hoping it'll help people out there, your audience,
Mhm.
so many people they have big dreams like I did, and then people hammer you down, right? And they're like, "Who do you think you are?
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you think you're so
yeah.
good? Whatever." I'm like, "No, I'm just trying to make a film."
Mhm.
But the thought that I had was, I am, I, me, Andrea, was an egg and a sperm. And then they joined, and then I grew, and then I grew, and I grew. And I have every right to be here. I was made exactly as I'm supposed to be, just
Mhm.
like a cedar tree is a cedar tree, and an oak tree is an oak tree, and I'm Andrea. And I had the thought that I was here for a reason, and my reason was just as valuable as any other being on the planet. And it began my healing journey. And so I had to do a lot of healing in that process. But it was guided by my intuition the whole
Yeah.
time. And the making of the film was guided by my intuition. And I love teaching people how to develop their intuition.
Oh, so beautiful. But isn't it amazing, Andrea, that how the universe or your higher self, because it's all already in you, makes you aware of another layer by actually having to go through. s- I, I don't like the word testing in your case because I don't think there was any testing for you anymore, but just an awareness of another layer that you had to go through in order to help others, to recognize
Yeah.
it in others as well and help others. Um, it's extraordinary, and you just did it, and that's why you are doing the incredible work that you're doing now.
Yeah, and that's such a like even when I was young, like even when I was a teenager, like 15 years old, one of my favorite things to do was to say to people, "What's your dream? What's your big dream? What do you want to manifest in this lifetime?" And if people would say, well, I'm a postman or whatever, I'm like, yeah, but what's your really big dream? That pays the bill, but what do you really want to do on earth?
Yeah.
So I love helping people find their passion that's connected to their soul.
Yes.
And the other thing about the soul connection is, part of the teaching that I learned from the indigenous people, they talked about how the we're in this time where the Hopi Indians talked about how they prophesized the First World War, the Second World War, and they said that the Third World War could happen if we don't connect to our hearts. They showed the images of the people disconnected from their bodies because they weren't connected to their heart, which is connected to earth. And
Yeah.
that's something that, I'm a little maybe different than some coaches, is that I've done a lot of work with Gaia, with Mother Earth. And I teach a 12-week chakra program where we start with the Earth star and then
Yeah.
we do exercises to go up into the realms, but we have to be grounded. And I was not grounded as a kid because I was up in the ethereal being
Right.
a
It is
airhead.
so easy to do that for somebody to want to be so spiritual and get all lost
Yes,
there and lose the grounding. The grounding is so important. And it's not just our first chakra, but the earth star is below, right? So,
exactly, exactly.
so
And,
the
and sorry, go ahead.
no, no, the connection with earth, with Gaia
Mhm.
is so important. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, right? So,
Well, exactly. And we return to the earth. And when you think about it, you look around the room, every single thing that is around you physically is from the earth.
yes,
Everything is from the earth.
yeah,
And then we go back to the earth. And
yes.
the earth, when you really actually, when I was in my deconstruction, reconstruction period that I call, nature really helped me. And I would hug the trees. I would talk to the trees. I would get wisdom from birds. Because I was being let down by people all over the place, like
Mm.
humans, right? So I listened to the teaching of Dennis Banks and the indigenous people, and I would lay on the ground and I would go in the woods and I would talk to Mother Earth. And I actually showed my film at this sacred water gathering in Peterborough, Ontario, where my mom used to live. And there were indigenous people coming from all over the world. And this was a prophecy that they would come from four directions. And every day we had ceremony. And I do a lot of ceremonies in my with my coaching and my women's circles because that's what I was taught, how to connect with the energies of all the directions. And one of the things that sorry, my mind is going all over the place.
It's so much,
One
and
thought, then another thought.
I have a million questions. I mean, I would have hours and hours and hours to fill, days and weeks.
Oh, I
But
know what I was going to say, and now I remember. So
good.
I showed my film at the Sacred Water Gathering, and at the end of the 4 or 5 day conference, we were invited to go on stage and share what we're going to bring back to our communities. And I was writing in my journal, so I was looking at my journal, and a woman got up and she started speaking, and then her voice changed. And enough for me to go, huh? Like it was noticeable change in her voice. And then she channeled Gaia. And I had never seen anything like it. And this voice that was like really powerful was like, "You are water. I am water. Everything is water." And then the voice said, uh, in a strong voice, "If you do not change your ways, I will crack you open." And I was like, holy moly, this is Gaia coming out of this woman's mouth.
Yeah.
And I went up to her later and I felt like kind of a silly white chick. I was like, so do you like channel all the time? And she was like, I don't even know what happened. I don't remember anything. I was like, oh, so that was the first time. She said, yes, I don't know what happened. So
Incredible.
all the indigenous grandmothers came around her and helped her, go through that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
incredible.
but this is why, and the Kogi people, they came and they showed a film and they spoke and they said, little brother, little sister, why are you not doing anything? Why are you letting corporations destroy the planet? And we're like, because they're corporations. We don't know, we don't know how to fight these corporations. But the truth is that when we wake up and we live from our heart and soul, then
Mhm.
then you open corporations that are in harmony with the earth, that are sustainable with the
Yes,
environment, that
yes,
treat people with respect. And
yes.
this is what we're shifting into, and it's so exciting.
I think it's so exciting. Of course, I want to live another 50 or 100 years, which I don't know if this is possible. Probably not. But I would love to come back to see how far we got with this. But it's interesting when you said that this woman said, I'm Gaia and channeled Gaia. And you are water, I crack you open. We had horrendous floods. I mean, we don't remember it because it was before our time,
Mm.
where everything got cleansed and everything had to start it again because Gaia, together with the universe, with the highest, creator God's will and decision, that it was time for cleansing. you know.
Yes, and that's the Kali is the goddess of destruction so that rebirth can happen. And
Yes.
now with Pluto entering Aquarius for 20 years, we are really going to go through it now.
Yeah.
So it's going to take, we have to be strong. Like this is not just, this is not going to be
Not
easy. I
for faint of
mean,
heart, young people.
it,
Yeah.
we have to be strong and we have to remember that this too shall pass. But, since 2017, when, we had a president that didn't give me a lot of hope, I decided, okay, my job is to stay in a high vibration
Yeah.
because there's too much
I'm,
negativity.
I'm, I'm so glad you mentioned that because this is something that is so important. It's so easy to get drawn into because of the media and when we have it right in our pocket and our phones and all of this, we are constantly bombarded with horrific things, right? What's going on, and it's easy to fall into despair or saying, "This is I have no power."
Yep.
No, if you could just stay, if even if you're not a teacher and you don't go out in order to as a star seed or to help bring in the light, your job is to keep yourself at a higher frequency, at a frequency where darkness and negativity uh, is bouncing off you. You can
Yes.
really visualize a mirror around you when it gets rough, nothing gets in here. You create that inner joy because it's all self-created anyway, you know.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't
No,
want
no.
to. Yeah, I was just going to say that reminds me of like the toroidal field that's around us.
Yeah.
So you're saying we have the power to fill our energy with the high frequency,
Yeah.
and during this period where I went through where I was being attacked by women, like a lot of women, I started just practicing filling my bubble with love and compassion. And I said to myself, no slings or arrows can pierce my force field. And I visualized that if anyone tried to attack me, they would just dissolve because they wouldn't go through, they wouldn't penetrate my force field.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
it's powerful to do that because I learned that some scientists did energy study, and they said that the frequency of, like, say, love, compassion, joy are very high.
Mhm.
And if you have say, a room of people that are in a low frequency, fear, anger, depression, and
Mhm.
you go in there and you don't maintain your high state, then you end up getting sucked into it feeds the
Yeah,
fear.
they're like vampires. Yes, they
Yeah,
suck you
you
until
suck
they're
you
not.
into the fear, right? But if you maintain the high frequency, they rise to meet you.
Yes. Yeah.
And
They,
that's the coherence that we're learning about by
yeah.
living from our hearts, is not just living from the brain, but living the heart brain coherence, gut,
Yeah.
the three brains, right? The heart,
Yes.
gut, the
Exactly.
head.
Yeah.
And I
So
just wanted, sorry, go ahead.
So when people say, well, there's nothing I can do, I don't know how to change things or how to change yourself,
Change your state, exactly.
become an observer of your own thoughts, your own feelings, because you have control over them.
Exactly. That's the only thing we can control, is our response to external stimuli.
Yeah.
And when the pandemic happened, unfortunately, my husband went into a spiral fear, and luckily, because I had some spiritual tools and practices,
Mhm.
I was able to maintain a high frequency even
Mhm.
during in fact, I loved the pandemic because I didn't have to go anywhere. I just was enjoying being at home and going in nature and being at home with my husband. And so, but one thing I wanted to share that I think will help your viewers, one of the things that I've always struggled with, and I am determined, Angelika, this year to make a breakthrough with around money. And I
Mm,
know a lot of women struggle with money.
yeah.
And they don't want to leave their comfortable jobs to do what they really want to do because they're afraid they won't earn the money,
Yeah.
or, they're just stuck in that limiting belief around money.
Mhm.
And I've struggled with this my entire life, but I'm determined that this year is going to be the year I make a breakthrough. And something that I did when I was after the film production, like, my film was filmed, it was edited, it was complete, but I was $60,000 in debt.
Oh,
And I had no job. I was just working on sending my film to festivals and the odd acting gig, the odd modeling gig or whatever. And then so I was really nervous that I thought I had made a terrible mess of my life because I went 60,000 in debt, finished my film on my credit cards. And I thought, oh my God, I've just made a terrible mess of my life. I need to kill myself. When
wow.
I think of it now, it sounds crazy. But I read the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Mhm.
Thank God, I love that book. And I started focusing on gratitude. And I believe that gratitude and meditation are two of the key practices to stay in a high state
Mhm.
and develop your intuition and all that and feel love in your heart. So I was meditating and I was saying to God, like, oh God, like, I was saying, thank you, butterfly. I was crying while I was saying, thank you, butterfly, thank you, grass. And then I said, but God, if you want me to make this film and spread the message of peace and love and interconnection, I need cash. And then I went on a date, and this car in front of us, three money bills flew up from under the car. And it looked like a cartoon. And I thought I could believe my eyes. It was like ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. And I said to the guy, that looked like money, didn't it? And I was embarrassed because I had $20 to my name at that time. And I remember that. And he turned to me and he said, yeah, do you want to go back and check if it's check, And I said, yeah, you never know. It might be $100 bills for all we know. And I said that to cover my embarrassment. But I watch him get out of the car and I see him, and he says out loud, because it was a small country highway, he
Mhm.
says, one $100 bill, two $100 bills, three $100 bills, and he hands them to me. And I threw my hands up and I said, okay, God, I'm never going to worry about money again.
Mm.
And I believe I experienced a miracle. And I
Yeah,
believe in miracles. When you live in alignment, life is,
a
I mean,
miracle.
life is miraculous anyway.
Yes, we are miracles. We are
We are
miracles. It's
miracles.
just that we separate this as something,
Exactly.
that actually should never happen. But it is.
Exactly.
But you must become in coherence and in alignment with that frequency, right? The
Exactly.
openness and knowing that God will provide. Of course, you cannot just say, "Yeah, I believe it," and sit and not do anything, right?
No, and it's also like for me, I think there's an energetic thing or a past life thing, but it's like the world is abundant,
Yes,
and it's just, I grew up with conditioning. I have a father who was a starving artist. We had no money growing up, so I grew up with that conditioning of we can't afford anything.
yeah,
And now I'm like, no, the more money I earn doing what I love in service to humanity, the more I can create things that I are more
right.
beneficial to humanity,
Yes,
right?
perfect. That's the perfect, so you give the right messages to the universe because the universe says yes to everything, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and so it says, yeah, let's generate more of it because this is not only for the ego, but it's in service, and its abundance is really what the world and the entire cosmos and universe is all about. There is abundance, and the different frequencies give you different experiences depending on the frequency.
Exactly. And when you're in alignment, when you unlock your magnificence, because that's what we're talking about today,
Yeah,
that is when you unlock your magnificence, so you become magnetic.
yeah,
And people are
exactly.
drawn to you. And many of you know, so often things happen out of who you know, out of relationships, how your
Exactly.
relationships are. And most of my acting roles, the more important, one of the things I was going to share was I was feeling called to step up and lead women's circles, and I was afraid of judgment. You know, I was terrified of the persecution complex, right? I was terrified people were going to judge me. And but out of the blue, I got a phone call saying from a director who I didn't even know that well, but I knew him, but not that well. And he said, Andrea, how would you like to play Van Helsing in Dracula? And you have, 3 weeks to learn your lines. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And the thing is that because I was embodying the character of Van Helsing, who was confident and she
Yeah,
was a metaphysicist,
yes.
that embodiment of that character helped me have
If
more
that,
confidence.
yeah.
And then I also got another role.
Audacious, yeah, the kind of being matter of fact, audaciously confident. Yeah.
Yes, and at the same time as that play, I got offered another role for a one-woman show in Rockefeller Park near Sleepy Hollow to tell the story of Mother Hulda, who had lived 250 years ago, and she was personified and demonized as a witch. She was a real woman, and she actually was Christian, but the dominie of the church, the old Dutch church, wouldn't give her a headstone. And the
Yeah.
year I did her show, she got a headstone 250 years later. And
My
I
goodness.
believe it's because that Pluto takes 250 years to come back, right?
Hmm.
So just think about it. Mother Hulda was fighting in the Revolutionary War. And then 250 years later, I tell her story. She gets a headstone, and we're coming back to the 250 years of the birth of the United States.
Oh my goodness. It's
It's
all,
in, it's
wow.
incredible,
I
really.
just got some a goose, some
Yes,
truth bumps,
goosebumps. Yes,
goosebumps,
yes.
goosebumps. Yes.
So we're living in an amazing time, and we are at a crossroads of love or fear. It's
Mhm.
either time to rise up and be authentically who we are or suffer, continue suffering.
Mhm.
But when you heal, it's just so wonderful because things happen and it's like exciting and you feel love and everything is beautiful and it's great.
Yeah,
And then you help other people.
exactly. I mean, sometimes people say, so fifth dimension, it's not a different world. Your vibration takes you into a state of inner joy, in
Mm.
gratitude, all of the things that just you experience the world in another way, and the universe is responding to it.
Yeah,
You actually live a different life,
it
you know.
is a different life and it's magical. And I don't normally like to go shopping in Walmart. I always get like, oh, I don't want to be here. But
Mhm.
there was a time when I was practicing, I mean, I've been practicing staying in that vibration. But I went into Walmart and I noticed that I felt like everything was flowing. And I felt like there was a different feeling of being in Walmart and I was connecting with people and I was like smiling and like talking. And it was just, I had this feeling of everything became fluid almost. It
So
was, and
yeah,
I felt like this is the 5D. You just
yes,
feel love and compassion for everybody.
yeah.
I didn't feel rushed. I didn't feel stressed. I just thought everything was beautiful in Walmart.
Yes, why not? I mean, this is how I totally get it, Andrea. And there will always be people who have no understanding for that and say this is all, you know, doesn't exist or so. And then it does not exist for them, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. It's just I mean, it's scientific, the particle and the wave. What you focus
Yes,
on,
yes,
it
you
grows, right?
yes,
You
yes.
can focus. When I was depressed, I was focused on all the things that weren't working in my life. And I had an audition for a role of a woman who had like schizophrenic kind of energy or something. And I had to be depressed when I went for my audition. So when I took the train down, I just consciously, in my head, I didn't say anything out loud, but I looked around and I just allowed myself to judge everybody, which is what we do normally. But when
Mhm.
you train yourself not to judge people, but to have compassion, but then
Mhm.
if you need to audition for a role where you're depressed, that's what you can do to get back in that state.
Right. You can, absolutely.
It's,
Yeah.
you look stupid. You're dumb. You're... and then
Yeah.
you feel depressed.
Yes, because you and this is another testimony to the power of our mind to create a feeling, and then that feeling becomes reality. And if we don't like that feeling anymore, then change your mind and think of something else, right? And
Exactly.
reverse that again.
There was a moment I was driving on the highway in this really ugly part of Montreal where there's apartment buildings right by the highway, and I'm an empath. So I was like, oh, those poor people, they have to live by the highway, and I was imagining what it would be like to live by a highway, and it made me kind of down. And then I noticed that I was feeling depressed thinking about those people.
Yeah,
And I thought, okay, find a
like
better
magic.
thought. What's a
Yeah.
better thought that's going to lift you up? And so what I did is I had my hands on the steering wheel and I noticed there was a ray of light hitting my hand. And
Mm.
that light lit up the little hairs on my hand that are blonde,
Mhm.
and it looked beautiful. Like just a little section of my hand, suddenly I found beauty there.
Yeah, and
And
and it
it
right
shifted for me.
right away.
It shifted. And that's what you learn how to do the more you practice it.
Yes, it all takes practice. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Uh,
wanted to share that something that's coming up.
yeah, that's what I just wanted to ask you. I know that you have upcoming events and programs, and since we only have a little more than 5 minutes left, I would love for you to share What
Okay,
is,
perfect.
how, first of all, how does somebody get in touch with you, and what is upcoming? What do you want to share about that?
Sure, that's great. Yeah. So my email is hello@andreasadler.com, or I believe Angelica has my links in the
Yes,
description for
yes, all of
this.
the links will be there.
And you can, first of all, you can have a free chakra meditation and toroidal activation. That's in one of the links that Angelica provided. So what I'm offering, there's quite a lot going on. Every month I have a sister circle on Zoom with a different theme, and it's a beautiful way to come together in sisterhood. We might have a theme like activate the warrior or activate the goddess or heal your inner child. Every theme is different, but there's a progression that happens throughout the year.
Beautiful.
And so,
You are leading those.
yes,
Yeah, beautiful.
on Zoom. So, but we do ritual sharing, meditation. We call in the directions, we share, and we focus on the theme to transmute whatever that theme is from the dark to the light, right?
Beautiful. And
And
that is at a particular day of the week of the month. It is to say once a month, yeah?
yeah, so the next one I'm having is Sunday, January 26th,
Okay.
from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you get on my email list, if you do that link with the chakra meditation, then you'll be on my email list, and and
You
then
get
and please
information.
join Dragonfly Sistership, because in Dragonfly Sistership, every Monday I offer a free meditation. So I teach mudras, breath techniques. Sometimes we do different movements. I do a little satsang, a spiritual discussion, and we meditate, and I send Reiki. I'm a Reiki master as well.
Beautiful.
So that's every Monday from 10:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Then once a month, I read tarot and the birthday oracle for the collective. And if you
Oh,
come to the
oh
Facebook
my,
Live,
that's
you can
so
get
interesting. Yes,
a
beautiful.
card. Like I'll pull a card for you. I was going to pull a card at the end of this too.
Okay.
And then the other thing is I'm really excited to be launching my 12-week chakra program called Activate, Align, Ascend.
Mm.
And one of the women who came, I said, your life is going to transform, in these 12 weeks. And at the end, she said, whoa, you were not kidding. My life completely transformed. And you would think that 12 weeks is not a long time, but you'd be surprised when you're focusing your intent on
Yeah,
healing and working in a container with sisters in a sacred container. We support each other. We
it
create a
amplifies.
bond. It
Yeah, it
amplifies
amplifies
the
all of
power of
that.
it.
And also, we live at a time where I think things are speeding up. So
Oh,
if
they
you
are, for
are
sure.
focused, then this is the results will come.
For sure. So
Faster.
that's going to be probably in the spring. And this is exciting. Yesterday, I just said yes to co-leading a retreat in Costa Rica from March 16th to the 22nd. And this is a really interesting retreat. It's for actors, writers, directors, speakers, singers, anyone who gets on stage or works in the entertainment industry.
Mhm.
It's a this working with this woman for a week in Costa Rica, and I'll be leading a session and helping out as well. And Patricia is a producer director, and this woman, I'm so excited I've known her for years, but not well. But I've been watching her, and she knows how to manifest success, 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 success. So I said to her, I want to get on my horse and ride next to you, and so I'm going to help her. And there's grants available. So if anybody is a member of a union for the entertainment industry, you can
Mhm.
get a grant. You can apply for a
Oh,
grant.
beautiful. I don't think we have that in in the link for that, right? In
No,
the
because I just found out
just
yesterday.
found out. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
and
I will send that out. Yeah.
yeah. And then the other thing is I'm going to be creating a meditation course and free master classes in my women's group, Dragonfly Sistership. And the other thing is I'm offering today and for the next, I could extend it to Monday at midnight. I'm offering a package of 10 coaching sessions, transformational coaching for 50% off. So instead of $150 a session, it's only $75 a session,
Well,
which
that's
I
a,
don't normally do.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is exclusive. People would have to book a discovery call with me by midnight on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
January 6th. And
And so
and
how many slots do you have open for that?
well, I ideally I want 10 clients, but so probably 10. I can't really handle. I've already got clients, so probably 10 max.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But even if like don't worry about max. Like,
Yeah.
bring it on. Like,
So
I just want to meet you and see if I can help you. Like, don't hesitate to book a discovery.
one-on-one or a small group
No, it's
coaching?
one-on-one, so it's very
One-on-one.
potent,
Okay. Yeah.
potent
Okay.
coaching. And just to
Very
cap it off,
generous.
one of my clients said to me, Andrea, you held the light to guide me home. And I
Hmm.
believe we are the light. I believe we are becoming luminous beings. And
Yes.
when we remember that we're the light, then we can light each other up. So I hope
Absolutely.
this interview lights you up.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh my goodness. I will make sure that this interview that I also share it directly with my group, and we need to talk much more,
Oh,
about
yes, I think we
how
need
to
to
collaborate.
collaborate.
Yes, we need to collaborate. Absolutely. So
Intuitively, I think
we only have 2 minutes left, or three. Can you quickly pull that tarot card for?
I just did. And I'm going
Okay.
it's birthing a new age. So this is such a perfect card for this interview. Birthing new creations. This is going to make me cry. Dreaming a world into being. This is what we're
Hmm.
doing. This is what we're
Exactly.
doing. I
Yes.
cry easily, so sorry if I get choked up because I
That's
just feel it's such a beautiful card for this moment is that we're all, let me just see if I have a minute just to read what it says because it's always potent. It's okay, I'll just finish off with this. I invite you to place your hand on your heart right now and say, I am open, repeat after me. I am open to surrendering. Go ahead.
I'm open to surrendering
To the creations
to the creations
that are wanting to be birthed through me.
to the creations that are wanting to be birthed through me.
May I be of service
May I be of service
in a way that delights my mind, body, and soul.
in a way of my mind, body, and soul.
Please use me.
Please use me.
Please lead me.
Please lead me.
Please show me the way.
Please show me the way.
Beautiful.
Oh, that is beautiful. Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much. Mwah.
I'm so happy. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And
Thank
um,
you. And I need to have you back. Uh, but also, after this, we need to get together. There is so much that I believe we are destined to collaborate in and to bring about.
absolutely,
I
I
am
believe that.
so attached. I mean, your energy. I'm so in alignment with your energy. So it is. I'm personally very much interested in this as well, not just for sharing it with others, but for me as well.
Yes. Well, I think this is a time when women are supporting each other and this there and it's important as women in our older years, we are now the elders who are
Yes.
teaching the younger women. And a lot of younger women are already awake, right? They're already awake. But there's a lot of women who are doing the whole, I'm going to dress up like a prostitute and try to marry a rich man. No, 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 no.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not the highest path.
There's a lot of work to do still.
Yes,
Yeah. A
we
lot.
still have a long way to go. So it's time we need to all rise up.
All rise up.
All right, sister.
Thank you. Thank you. I bow up because of the light that shines so brightly in you. Thank you.
Thank you. You too, honey. All
Bye-bye.
right, we'll talk to you soon.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.